Hey, Studio 108 community. Thanks for clicking in. Thanks for following. And I just am sitting down with a chat with one of our new staff members that actually, like, I know Ciera, but I don't know her all that well. So every time I talk to her, I have a lot of questions. And every time I talk to her, I realize that she's like absolutely a wealth of knowledge. And we've got a new class format here at the studio. We've had a lot of back end conversations, Leah and I, about the role of strength in workouts, how the messages from the general, fitness world have changed, and what this strength initiative and this muscle building initiative is about, how it can happen here safely, given the age and the range of ages and interests that we have here. So there's been like a lot of this back conversation, and I said to Ciera, well, like we have something new going on, and let's chat about it, and let's see if anybody wants to listen along. So yeah, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk about what I do best, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I want to hear a little bit about your background. So go ahead and get started. Like, do you know that I interrupt? Like,
that's fine. Me too. Interrupt me, please. Whatever.
Okay. So, and sometimes I hijack for a minute, but we always come back. We always come back. So don't think you're off the hook. All right. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Okay. Starting like.
I grew up where?
Oh, okay. All right. So I grew up in a few different cities. So I grew up mostly in Wadsworth, Ohio. That's where I spent like the bulk of my schooling, like high school. That's where I spent high school, all that. But before that, I moved around. We lived in Colorado, we lived in Tennessee, we lived in Illinois. Yeah, just a few different places.
Yeah, there's some diversity there too.
Absolutely.
A few different, like seriously different cultures.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I was pretty young for a lot of those moves. Like in Colorado, I think I was like 3 or 4 years old.
Gotcha.
And then in Tennessee, we spent about 5 years there, most of my elementary school. And then when we got back up to Ohio, because I was originally born in Ohio, that's where like all of our family lives. My parents just decided that they wanted to stay there for, the bulk of our high school careers, which was nice.
Yeah,
it was nice to have.
It is nice to have that. Especially you were involved in sports, I'll bet.
Mm-hmm.
What did you play in high school?
I played volleyball and softball in high school. I decided to just focus on volleyball though. I think my sophomore year, I decided to leave softball behind, excuse me. And high school was really where I fell in love with like weightlifting too, because my mom wanted me to be safe and she didn't want me to get injured. And a lot of injuries are because you're not strong enough.
Well, how about that for intelligence? Because what we hear around here and through the yoga community, and I don't want to say a victim of it, but a great example of it is you hear I'm not flexible. There's this desire to be super flexible and to kind of show off that flexibility in pictures on the internet and stuff. But your mom was like really ahead of her time with this.
Oh my gosh, yeah. She's always been like that, super ahead of everything. I don't know. She just knew, since my sister and I were in sports, oh my gosh, this woman, so like she needs to be in research somewhere because she is so good at finding things. Yes, I've told her that.
All right, I have a couple topics for her. I'm gonna send her on the hunt.
Yeah, let's get Beth all set up in here.
Okay, note to self.
Yes. But yeah, that's honestly how I started strength and conditioning. Was I decided to specialize in volleyball. And if you're going to specialize in a sport, especially if you're talking about adolescence, like 15 or so, 16, I think, specializing in a sport does have like its pros. You get better at your sport exponentially because you're only focusing on that. Same with like yoga or whatever.
Yeah, I used to cycle.
Yeah,
that's my thing. Yeah,
but the reason they talk about like strength and conditioning so much is for that cross training aspect, because you're working muscles, you're not entirely used to working in just like your sport. And volleyball, being in a front row position, I'm only using my right arm for the most part. So obviously we wanted to balance out some of those.
For sure, you wanted to maintain the whole body strength and not get those patterned imbalances that cause injuries and create like even fascial forming around that, where your posture changes and then that pain starts throwing from one place in the body to another. And yeah, it gets to be a real conversation. And so how cool that you were able to sort of have that perspective at a young age, like so that you can developmentally kind of hold that as your watermark. That was super good. You didn't have to like come back from a big injury. But I know volleyball is really competitive.
Yeah.
Was it competitive in high school too, or
Oh,
did
yeah.
that kind of hit harder when you went to college?
So the conference that I was in high school, I played for Wadsworth High School. We were pretty good. We were pretty competitive. We played in the Suburban League, which has grown like twice its size since I've been in school there.
Wow.
But no, it is a pretty competitive conference, I'd say, for their division. I mean, obviously, it only gets more competitive as you keep playing, through college and whatnot. But yeah, that's where a lot of the injuries come from, is just people playing their sport that they love so much, which is fantastic and fabulous. We love that. But it's mostly like overuse injuries, chronically building up over time. And I mean, shoot, after playing volleyball in college and even in high school for, high school was 4 years, undergrad was another 4 years, and I played one more year in grad school. That's 6, 7 years, or excuse me, 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It was a lot of money.
Especially when your bones are still growing, forming. I had a question. Well, let's skip that. Tell me where you went to college.
I played volleyball at Eastern Kentucky University indoor, and then I played 1 year beach volleyball at Aspen Peay State University.
That didn't suck.
No.
Did you like the sand though? That'd be kind of
I loved it.
Did you love it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, beach volleyball, it's a different setting than indoor volleyball was.
Yeah, it's just happier.
Yeah.
Everything's happier on the beach.
It's just like more laid back. Yeah, you're out in the sunshine. I mean, season started in January.
Wow. So how much sun were you in then? January, you'd still be a little snuggled up.
We traveled a lot. We would go to like Gulf Shores and Florida. Yeah, so we would see the sunshine that way.
Yeah,
nice.
That's a lot of adventure. So I know that your college experience really like informed your coaching style, and what can you say about that?
Yeah,
because that's really an entanglement of a whole lot of societal beliefs and norms, and I don't know that we necessarily appreciate the pressure and the push on someone.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little background, I got my grad degree in performance enhancement and coaching. So I have a little bit of background in like knowing what kind of coaching styles do what and when to use them, when to apply them.
Psychology,
yes,
psychology.
It's a lot of sports psychology, yes.
Yeah.
And with that said, I've had a lot of coaches, some good, some bad, some somewhere in between. It's a very personal thing, coaching. You have to get to know your team, who you're with, and how they react to different, coaching methods. Whether or not they react well to getting like yelled at, or maybe getting pushed in that sort of like intense manner, I guess that's the best way to put it. Or does your player kind of need somebody more a little bit cool, calm, collected? I was somebody who, I'm sure a lot of other people are just like this, their own biggest critic.
Yeah.
I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's really hard to have a coach that's hard on you too, when you're already so hard on yourself.
100%. And I know even Leah tends to be that way, not to talk behind her back, but just to share that she'll say sometimes, you don't have to tell me, I already have told myself, like I've already self-regulated that. And it's true, some people, and that's not to say sensitive, it just is, like you said, like having the match of what works best for someone. And a lot of people respond well to pressure.
Absolutely, yeah. I had some fantastic teammates who were great volleyball players, who loved having that kind of pressure and intensity put on them. They thrived in it. I was just not that person. I liked having somebody tell me, nice job, Ciera, like, don't worry about that last mistake, whatever, you know,
Right.
just somebody a little bit more calm.
Temper your own inner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, like, I know when I taught spinning, like, a lot of what would come out of me would be my own self-coaching. Do you hear that? Like, how your own voice comes out to share to people?
I want to, not so much, well, coaching is hard. It is very hard. I coach boys volleyball, which is coming up soon, which is so exciting.
How old are they? Is this high
They're
school
high
age?
school age, yeah. And I'm in charge of like the JV boys, so I get the mostly younger guys, mostly like freshmen, sophomores, some juniors. And it's really hard to figure out what makes each player tick, you know, like how can I motivate my players, each and every one of them individually, because you can only get so far talking to them as a group.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just figuring out how, like, who they are as players and stuff like that.
Yeah, like what makes them tick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They call you coach.
Yeah. They call me
okay,
Coach
if you
Ciera.
were listening on the podcast and you can't see Ciera's face, then like go to the YouTube, click it, because like that was darling. That spoke volumes.
Oh yes, no, that's exactly how I'm introduced. I'm introduced as Coach Ciera, and most of them will just call me Coach.
That's cute.
It is.
Do you love it so much?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's a really cool time in their development.
It is. It is. Yeah, I mean, I've learned so much just from that last year. Last year was my first year coaching boys volleyball. And this year will be like my second year, and it's just, I don't know, I'm over the moon. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. Is that in Wadsworth you coach?
No, it's actually Brexville, Brent Heights.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
So you live up here now?
Yeah, I live over in Brent Heights right now. Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. Okay, I would have thought you'd be closer, but then, you know, we didn't get far enough in the story for me to move with you. I didn't.
Oh,
have
yeah,
you call
yeah.
Moving back here.
No, I'm just moving all different directions.
That's cool. That's cool. Awesome. Okay, so what then, where do you thread in your knowledge of the strength and conditioning? And what can you tell us about the current research around strength?
Okay. Do you mind repeating that first question?
Sure. When did you come into this strength and, because was your undergrad in like sports psychology coaching style kind of thing?
Yeah, my undergrad was in exercise science.
Gotcha.
So very broad. Yes. And I wanted it to be that way because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and that's okay. So I got into strength and conditioning when I was in high school, you know, because my mom was worried about me getting injured. I ended up having a very healthy career in high school, which was fabulous. College was a little bit of a different story, but I don't necessarily think that strength and conditioning can't prevent all of the injuries, unfortunately. But anyways, where was I going with that?
Strength and conditioning coach.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So I immediately fell in love with strength and conditioning. The coach that we had, I say we, my sister and I, obviously. Okay. One sister does it, the other one has to. She was a soccer player too. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I immediately fell in love with strength and conditioning, everything about it. It was so much fun. I loved the group setting that we were in because it wasn't like too competitive. We were still competing, you know, against ourselves, but we also had other people to kind of expedite that competition, that competitive feeling. I love competition. I think it's so much fun. Yeah, if that's one thing you know about me, I'm a very competitive person. But yeah, that's really where it blossomed. I did end up changing my major about 4 times in undergrad, but I did land on exercise science. I knew I wanted to do something, you know, physical, something related to sports. And that's kind of where I fell in love with it. Undergrad was just a lot of, you know, learning your anatomy, your physiology, the biomechanics, so how your body moves, and like the math that goes along, like with your levers and your different, like how, you know, taller folks have a harder time bench pressing because their arms are a mile long versus, you know, your 5 foot nothing. Yeah. Leah, if you will, bench pressing with their shorter arms. It's just, it was learning that
Yeah, a
essentially.
lot of
Yeah, a lot of
individualization.
that.
And what is the research saying around strength training now?
Well, what would you like to know about?
Mhm.
There's a lot of research about
Yeah.
strength and conditioning and strength training, especially like for injury prevention.
Right,
Mhm.
right. I feel like some of what we do here in bar Pilates reformer kind of hits the mark, but then there's also this element where a lot of the specific strengthening that's happening are stabilizers and not necessarily the mover muscles.
Mhm.
So there's load, but maybe not the same as like lifting.
Mhm.
So when you think about the variety of classes we have here, can you kind of weave it, pull out the threads and say this is where you're gonna get, these different impacts? Is there something that would make sense that way for you to share?
Yes.
And then,
most
because
definitely.
you've got a whole different format that you put together for your Monday night
Mhm.
class, that we're trying to just tick the next box, get a broader range of what people are experiencing.
Mhm. Yes, okay, so strength and conditioning can be really, really broad, and there's a lot of different ways that we can work muscles, like you were saying. Like we can do your isometrics, which are, holding like a plank. That's an isometric exercise. You're holding that.
You're holding it, you're engaged,
Mhm.
your duration.
Yes. We have our like concentric flexion, which is going to be the shortening of the muscle, and then the eccentric portion will be the lengthening of the muscle.
So that's lifting.
That is your weightlifting. Yes, that's all that it is tonight. It's fantastic. It's fabulous.
Oh my gosh, she's so geeking out.
I am.
Meanwhile, I'm like, can we have a cup of tea on the couch?
Yes.
But yes,
We
okay,
can, yes,
cool.
we can.
We can do that too.
But it's also like it can be so incredibly personal, and that's something that I'm sure that John found out the other night when it was just he and I for Body
Yeah.
Strong one night. It kind of turned into like a personal training session. I was asking him like what he did. It turned out he's a marathon runner. It's fabulous. Hey, I've already trained a marathon runner in the past before. But I know that's a lot of linear movements. He's not going to see a lot of side to side lateral movements. So we did actually a lot of that to complement his marathon training, because he is actually in preparation right now for another marathon, which is so cool. I'll never do that.
I know.
Good for him.
But he's a gritty guy.
Yeah,
Like he's out there. He's gritty with it. Yeah.
And I think that's so cool. But that's what I love about strength conditioning, is you can personalize it for a lot of people. And I like to incorporate exercises that we may not necessarily see on a daily basis, but I think that a lot of the exercises we do can translate into your life somehow. So you're going to be getting a lot of like functional mobility training, but also strength like through your range of motion, which is pretty similar to like Pilates, I would say. There's a lot of mobility training in Pilates. But the difference between like Pilates and then what we do in Body Strong is you're going to be using a little bit more resistance, but fewer repetitions. So you're, instead of, you're going to Pilates, you're doing a lot of endurance training for those muscles. For Body Strong, it'll still be a little bit of endurance, with the lighter weights and stuff that we have right now, but a lot of people are still challenged by the weights that we have. So
yeah, I am.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're everyday too. Yeah. We have a little bit of a range, in the front room. For those who don't know, that only see 2 and 3 pounds in the back.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
It did. I think that I love the idea, and I love the community here, because people are willing to speak up about their interests and their other activities, which keeps, like, there's this relay, there's this conversation. It's like if you are working out with a personal relationship with your teacher, trainer, coach. We'll call you coach. Okay. What if you you're comfortable in your community, you see this coach person, like every week, every other week, whatever it is that your routine is, then you say, I'm training for a marathon, and they're like, cool, good to know, and then tick, tick, tick. So there's like a conversation and a relay. It's not just coming into a room where someone's throwing a class at you. So like, I love that, that aspect of your conversation. And then also the difference between the reformer and the more like personal training style group class that's going on in Body Strong. That's cool. John does yoga, so that's moving through range of motion, but it's not developing strengths per se. I mean, there's some isometric, some, yes, for sure, but it's not going to be the same as utilizing the weights and really specifically honing in on that as an objective.
Yeah, and I think this was kind of something I totally forgot to
Moving
mention
through pain earlier, and that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we'll move through, you know, all the different planes of motion each class, and like one thing about like weight training, resistance training specifically is its connection to bone mineral density.
Gotcha.
So when you add more resistance or you increase the intensity of it, both are qualified to be the same thing. You increase the load, it increases intensity a little bit. That puts impacts like on your muscles because your on your bones. Your muscles pull on your bones, which will help strengthen them.
It stimulates the growth of cellular growth.
Yeah, because I believe in your mid-20s, you either use it or you lose it. Like sarcopenia, that's, you know, your muscle degeneration over a period of time. And obviously we want to hang on to our muscles and we want
to. And I mean, Leah and I did a podcast quite a while ago, I think by now, but about metabolism and how important muscle tissue is for your body's overall metabolism. So it's super important. And then of course that's going to weave into your immune system and all your other systems too. So super important to maintain your muscles as you age.
A lot of people always think that if they pick up some weights, they'll immediately get bodybuilder strong, and that's like, if it was that easy, bodybuilders would not have competitions like they do.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to work so hard to do
incredibly intense. Yeah.
I do want to ask though about that idea, because sometimes I see you know, CrossFit and some of the heavyweight training, a lot of injuries in that. Like there's this idea of that bulk muscle. Is that really the objective? Is there like an underlying stabilizing muscle that you would want to also address? Like there's some misinformation or a misunderstanding sometime. Why don't you clear it up? Why don't I shut up and give you a turn?
So bodybuilding, I like to think of as like its own sport.
Gotcha.
It's great for bodybuilders. Like bodybuilding workouts are specifically made for bodybuilders, you know, who are going into their prep and they're going to be competing however long their prep takes.
Yeah.
So with that said, their bulk of their preparation is going to be a lot of nutrition. So they're going to be eating all the right foods, very, very strict with their diets. You know, it's going to be a lot of compound movement. So it'll be like your squats, your overhead press. What makes a compound movement is if the exercise you're doing crosses two joints. So like your bench press, your squats, your deadlift, all of those are compound movements. Just because you get like more bang for your buck doing that.
What about your average 58-year-old woman? Just lifting heavy weights?
I think it would depend on her goals. It would definitely depend on her goals. But let's say her goals are just build more muscle, just for the sake of being easy. Well, that's super easy for me to do. I just want to make some muscles.
Like if you want to make some
muscles,
come on in. Come to Coach Ciera. Super easy to make some muscles.
No, it's definitely not super easy. It's super easy for me coaching you, but you have to do all the work. Yeah, that's the catch.
I don't see the sweat dripping down your brows.
Yeah, so it would depend on like their limitations, if they have any prior injuries, or let's say like they have been active their entire life.
Yeah.
Then that's maybe that's a little bit different then, because then I could gear their workout to be a little bit more complex in a way. Something that would keep their interest though. But yeah, does that answer your question a little
I
bit?
think it does.
Okay.
We can like look for questions in the comment section.
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening wants to just like jot it underneath there.
Yeah, pop me a
Kind of
question.
pop questions, or better yet, they could like pop in and see you on Monday night at
6:05.
6:05 for Body Strong, and Wednesday Ciera is here at the Pilates Reformers, and there are, you know, like I get feedback. I'm kind of a nibby nose. I like feedback. I like to know kind of what people are thinking and how things are hitting people. And we've gotten really good feedback about Coach Ciera, just really taking care of people and offering compassion and also kicking their butts. So I've got it across the board, and you know, be proud and thank you. But seriously, it's one of the things that we really intend is for folks to have an exceptional experience, and for the classes here to offer a sense of community and connection. So ask your questions, ask Ciera questions when you come in. Let her know what you got going on so that you can round out your workouts and do a great job. All right, what do you think? What else do you think you'd like to share? Is there anything?
It's just important to move your body.
Yeah, it really
Yeah,
is.
that's really what it comes down to, moving your body, you know, in a safe manner, knowing your limitations. Don't be afraid to just drop your ego, even if you want to do like the more challenging modification and you know you probably shouldn't, don't do it. I modify all the time. I mean, especially when I'm taking like Leah's reformer classes, she offers that modification. I'm like struggling. I will always take the modification.
Yeah.
There's no shame in taking that modification.
No.
Yeah, it's for your safety.
And I know when I take Leah's class, yeah, I'll say, what can I do instead?
Yeah, give me something else.
Yeah, like this is too much, because like part of that experience is the strength of your nervous system. And if I've had a good night's sleep and everything's really calm, maybe it's been like a really, really quiet week, I haven't been stressed or strained about anything, then I'm more than happy to take on some extra challenge and kind of dig in there and feel a burn a bit. But a lot of times, like I'm already kind of tired and frayed and done. And I just want to move because I need to move. And so I'll ask, can we make it easier? Because my nervous system just doesn't want that pressure. Just like when you talk about different styles of coaches. It's like kind of knowing where you are right now and remembering to interact with yourself is like this whole being person. And it doesn't, just because one day I say, let's make it easier, doesn't mean I can't muscle into it the next time. It's just for today. Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I won't ever take anything personally. If you ask me, can we make this easier? Maybe we can do something different. No, that's totally fine. Like, please ask me if there's like a different modification or if you need something explained to you in a different manner. I'm always happy to do that. Yeah, that's cool. And then if you kind of get the sense that I need a little pressure, you might say, try 2 more, Tracy. And I'd be like, I don't think I like you, Ciera. Listen here, coach. I love it. Thank you so much for talking to me today. This has been really lovely. Absolutely, Tracy.
Yeah, we should have tea sometime.
Yeah.
After we lift a little.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Okay, thanks you guys. Thanks for following, and we'll see you at the studio soon. Namaste.
Aw.
I know, that was so fun.
It was.
It was.